All right, guys, this is Kelly from Hills, Deals, and Wheels Mobile Home Investing Course, and we have Miss Veronica Chestnut,
Good
mobile
evening.
home investor. Veronica, how are you doing?
I'm wonderful, Kelly. Thank you for having me. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. So, Veronica, introduce yourself and tell us why you got into the mobile home business, and what is your profession, or what was your profession before you got into the mobile home business?
Well, hi, everyone. I'm Veronica Chestnut. I am in South Carolina. I am currently employed, so I still have the 8 to 5 with the nonprofit and absolutely love and enjoy my career. But of course, needed to have an extension of income, an extension of a branch of a business that I always desired to do. It was always just trying to figure out what it is I wanted to do. But I knew I still wanted to have that adventure of being an entrepreneur. So mobile homes came about as I was raised in a mobile home. My dad actually was a handyman part time. Also, it was building extensions on our home and actually helped assist with others. And his dream was to be a general contractor once I graduated high school. But of course, he was sick and things happened around that time and just sick again and never was able to fulfill that to do it full time. So I've done MLMs, I've done all types of things. I do a lot of crafts and I was like, I can turn all that into a business. And then never saw that. Then I said, okay, I think I saw a few courses, actually saw yours, and then saw you on a few videos on YouTube and YouTube University. And I was like, mobile homes. I was like, okay, I think I know a little bit. And so I decided to jump off the porch, do a few courses and jumped in and pandemic came. Um, then my dad passed.
Sorry
Then
about that.
I had a
Mhm.
baby. So it was just like, okay. I was like, all right, now is definitely the time to jump off the porch. So I decided to say, all right, I'm gonna invest in mobile homes. And so I wanted to do the wholesale option, and then ended up purchasing a mobile home. But what I wanted to do was just again just get into mobile homes. So that's where we are now. And so I still do the 8 to 5 and do mobile homes. I guess you'd say part-time on the side in between life and work.
Okay. And you know what, Veronica? I don't want to get too far off the beaten path, but there is a video out. I watched it one time and I have not been able to find that video again. And it was concerning children being raised up in mobile home parks. What was your experience? Because these kids were like they were embarrassed and all that kind of stuff. What was your experience with growing up in a park?
Well, we didn't grow up in a park. So our mobile home is actually on land. My mom and dad, they purchased on land. So we weren't in a park. And then he added on to the home. So it's actually on an acre and a half. So it's not we're in the park. So I didn't have that experience of being in a park. Um, so yeah, I didn't have that experience. So I don't
Oh,
really
okay.
know. I mean, it's
Yeah,
all mobile homes around us. So it
right.
is the old, actually, our neighbors are still here. My parents' neighbors and are still here, but they're in mobile homes, they're in double wides. But of course, we all have our own land and space between us. But for me, it was pretty very much quiet. Um, like I said, I'm almost 40 and they've all been here since the 70s. So as far as the longevity, I know a lot of people will say, oh, well, people, because I know people turn doors and turn keys in houses for a very long time, but people in mobile homes most of the time do not. They stay in their homes for a very long time, a very long period, and usually get transitioned over to the next generation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So, and I looked at your Facebook page. I've been spying on you. So
Okay.
I see what are your sorority sisters? Because you're the second AKA that I have interviewed. What are your sorority sisters saying about the mobile home business? Are they like, okay, what's up with that?
Yeah, most are like, no. They're just like, they're like, I have a few realtors, which is great because some that are realtors though, we connect more, just because they'll run across a client who does not have interest in purchasing. Well, let me say they may interest in purchasing a home, or they may find contact through them because they knew this realtor through another channel and thinking that they can help them in mobile homes. And she's like, no. So she'll transition them over to me, then I can try to help them as much as I can, whether it's finding land for them or finding a home for them. So some, yes, some have no, they know about mobile homes, but they have no idea if they would always step into one or what to do. What most have never stepped into one, so they don't know what it looks like. Don't know what it
Mhm.
looks like. Don't know the different amenities that can be added, and the upgrades that can happen in a home, just as a regular standard brick and mortar home would be. But yeah, some they have no problem with it. They're like, oh, okay, that's a great business. They was like, I know I couldn't do that because I have no idea what to do. I said, well, I don't always know what to do. I said, I have friends and connections, and we figure it out.
Exactly. So, Veronica, as of today, how many deals do you have under your belt, and what is your strategy? Are you buying and holding, renting, with seller finance, or what are you doing?
So as far as deals, I currently just had four. So I'm not one of the big shots out here. Wholesale and then buy and hold one and then sold one and wholesale another. So and actually working on a wholesale deal as we speak. Um, I'm debating if I'm gonna hold it. It's just kind of out of my realm. But as far as the decision and what made it possible, I'd like to do wholesale, but it usually, it's what comes across the table. Where the second call I got on that home that I purchased and sold came from the park. So she was like, "Hey, we got this home available." While I was finishing up the other one, getting another person in that one, the buy and hold currently, and she was like, "Well, I got one," and I was like, "Oh Lord, I don't want to get into another one," but I did it anyway. So sometimes it's usually my focus is to do the wholesale, but now I'm not gonna lie, Miss Kelly, you just been making me want to do that buy and hold a little bit more. Just because of now the transition of yes, I have a little one. So now just thinking, okay, long term, what is it that we're doing? What is it that we're passing on for family generation and have her have options, whether she wants to go to school, whether she does not want to go to school, whether she want to go in the military, whether she want to be an entrepreneur, that the options are available to do so. And I think we just
Okay.
have to think a little differently than maybe our parents did, and the times have changed. And so one income does not fulfill a family household for most these days because everything now is skyrocketed in pricing for everything. So whether it's your education, your home, just buying a pack of chicken, whatever the case may be, things are going up. One thing I know, crazy enough, gas is going down, but as we know, that could change tomorrow. So
Exactly. So, so would you say out of, wholesaling or whatever the case may be, the other strategies that you have done, wholesaling is your thing to do?
wholesaling is the thing to do. That would be
Okay.
priority is to wholesale it. And then if it gets, once you get through the deal and you start working it out, it's like, all right, if you can't, then no, I might buy it and then we're gonna rent it, or we're gonna buy it and then we're gonna sell it. So that's why I usually just say I'm a mobile home consultant because I like to say we're gonna have a conversation, figure out what's the best strategy for this person. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I try to walk away and I know I need to walk away, but I try to make as much sense into the situation as I can for the person to be able to achieve their goal, whatever that may be, whether it's to move, whether it's another family member, they inherit this through a family member and they don't know what to do with it and they just want to get rid of it. Just trying to give them consultation and what to do. I had like one, her husband passed. It was kind of his man cave. It was a mobile home up the street that they owned, and it needed some work, and it was older, so moving it was a 72, so moving it was one of those, technically no, but if you found the right mover, it could get moved. So the counties where that home was, it could be moved out. It's just one rather another county would take it to whether a mover would move it because of the liability of the home, because all the things that could possibly go wrong. So I know what her goal was to sell it and move it, but it was just kind of like, that may not happen. So let's think about plan B and C. CB would be get someone to move in it. let them renovate it and let them pay you a lot rent. Plan C would be demolishing the home. Then you just put another home there, rent it out, or whatever their plans were. So I like to kind of help give them different ideas. It may not always be the wholesale deal we have ideally in our mind. But again, at the end of the day, we want to at least give that seller or the buyer an option of what they can do.
Okay. All right. So, number one, how are you finding these deals? And number two, walk us through the wholesale deal process because I notice a lot of newbies are afraid that the seller and the buyer will meet up and they'll find out that you're making money. I don't know why people hide it. I don't know why new investors hide the fact that they're going to be making money. But number one, how are you finding these deals and walk us through like a typical wholesale deal?
Yeah, so mine are usually bandit signs. I know a lot are not a fan of bandit signs. I am not a fan of bandit signs, but they work. So usually I don't have a route per se that I go. As many investors you may hear, they'll say they put out 50 signs or 30 signs or something a week, and or they have a specific day. Not gonna lie, my strategy is not that way. I'm like, if I'm going out, I'm out. Hey, I'm putting out signs today. And if I have five in my car, those five are getting out. Um, and if I'm going on a travel, going from here to there, oh, okay, you know what? I'm putting 10 signs in my car. So if I'm going here or coming back, I'm putting out 10 signs. So it's really that's the strategy. I do have a website. I do have a Facebook, Google. Not Facebook, Google actually. And so some will come through that, where they'll come to the channel of being in our Google search. So I will actually come up under mobile homes. So if someone's searching looking for a mobile home dealer per se, then I will come up in certain counties. But the bandit signs are ideal to where most of the deals have came from. And so with that, I have not had my buyers and seller had to meet before. I'm present. There's some who do virtual, but I'm a walkthrough, touch, feel person. I need to see it, touch it, feel it, understand it. And so I like to actually go in the house and see it first. And then what I do as far as when I have that buyer or seller, yes, I tell them up front, yes, nothing comes from you. You are charged nothing. Nothing comes out of your pocket other than your time of allowing to talk to me, your time to allow me to come into your home, your time to allow the space for someone else to walk through your home. That's it. And just signing the contract stating that we're doing that such thing and that there is no risk for you other than at the end that we find you a buyer, you get your funds, you transfer that title, they get keys. That's it. As far as the seller, I mean the buyer, the money comes from the buyer, of course. Our fee that we have, and we do state that it is either sometimes it's two check. It all depends, I guess, with the house. If it's a money owed on the home, or if it's straight out cash, don't have to worry about that. Then, but typically, if it's just a straight cash deal, then yes, then we just get either one check, take that check deposit, take our fee out. Rest of the funds get transferred over to the the end seller, and then we provide the title to the buyer. So it's an easy process. It's probably more difficult getting your seller to understand that it's nothing at a risk for them, because most will have that mindset of I'm paying for you. I guess how can it be something for free that you're doing for me? Most don't believe that it's something. They think that it's something that has to come out of them or out of their pocket or something that they owe. And it's like, nope, you have to do anything. It's just like you just have to, honestly, it's just you have to just trust me. You just have to feel the vibes, understand this is the process. Understand that yes, there is a fee, but it's not coming from you. So we do have to market your home. And I explain you have to market your home to this value, minus all the whatever things that you have, maybe any negative things that are coming out. Of course, we don't say that. We just say, Mr. Seller, Miss Seller, with this home, based on the things we have, we should have it at this price. What are you looking for? What is it that will get you to move? What is it that will get you to your next step? What is it that get you to your goal where you need to be? That's the number. Okay. Well, based on this home, we have this, 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 this. So are you comfortable with this number? Yes. Okay. Well, based on that number, if it's 14,000, whatever. Okay, to get your home at market value, plus with negotiation, plus with the fee that I do charge to help assist in getting your home, we need to market. It's going to be marked up higher. Are you comfortable with that? Yes. I don't necessarily say what the number is, but are you
Okay.
comfortable with that? So if you do see it on Facebook or you do see it somewhere, you understood from the beginning, it's marked up to a value to get your home sold for the price that you want. I haven't had any issues with that. Some have had issues, and some, like you said, keep a secret, but there's no need to gatekeep that you are getting paid. And I feel like if that person is someone that doesn't want you to be wants you to be compensated for helping them, then it may not be the client for you.
Very true. Very true. So, Veronica, you find these sellers. At what point? Let's just talk about in the park. At what point do you talk to the park manager to make sure they don't want to buy the home?
Yes. So after I talk to the seller, I immediately, do you have the park manager's number? Do you have their information? Usually I already have it because you already told me it's in the park. So I'm already on it one step ahead of you. But I just want to make sure you're comfortable telling me, yes, okay, this is the park manager. This is their number. That they're located here, blah, blah, blah. If they're not, this is how you get them. And then you ask them basically, do they have a right of sale, to this home? Surprisingly, the parks I've been in, they are not buying homes currently that are in their park that are individually owned unless they're usually like 18s or better, 2018s or better, or newer homes, and they're buying. But some of them, they have it where they only want to bring in new. They don't really want to buy any older ones in the park. So usually I have not run into where a park says yes, they're going to buy one. And so yes, when the park says everything, and then I'm follow up with them in that midst of that conversation, what do they owe? Do they owe anything on this park? As far as lot fee, how has the tenant been? Is there any questions about the home? I ask all about what's the, even just because I never knew who my seller is, a buyer is there rental opportunities in the park, or are we able to just only, this person has to live in the home? Can they buy it from me, resell it to someone else? Can they do that? Are they able to do a sublease? Can they do that? So just ask, what are the park requirements to ensure that we're following their rules, because we don't want to have a bad interest with the park. Secondly, I can have a relationship starting with myself with that park manager, because they may have homes that I can handle and take for them as well. So you want to make sure you have that rapport with the park, because some have bad experiences with certain investors, that are just cash hungry. You know, some don't. They what was it was an investor. He said he does things and then he asks for forgiveness later, and I was like, "Ooh, can't work with you." Uh, so I was like, "Yeah, my integrity said nope." Can't do it. So for those people, I can understand why parks may have their hesitation with some investors, but I just try to make sure I'm very open with them and honest about what it is we're trying to do. And if it's something that just won't work, I mean, if they say we can't do this, can't do that, okay, well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. You
All
know,
right. All right. And so you're in South Carolina, correct?
yes.
So in South Carolina, do y'all go to the DMV to close the deal? Are you able to do it online? Or how do y'all go about doing that?
I close a deal at the home or wherever we are. But yes, you can do the title transfers at the DMV. You don't have to do a title company, unless, like I said, if the home has money owed on it, then I would go through a title company. But if it's straight cash, no, nothing owed, you can do it right at that DMV, or like I said, in the parking lot. And they just take that title and then transfer. They don't sell assigns it with me. And my experience, honestly, when I start, the seller has automatically signed the title. Once they sign the contract, they sign the title. They're like, do
Mm-hmm.
your job. So it's been kind of easy on that side. Once we get to that point of the trust to say, okay, they'll, like I said, they'll sign the contract, and usually most of the time they'll sign that title right on over. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Let's go. Of course, I've had a few that have not worked and some that failed. Some signed contracts that didn't go through just because We found out money was owed on the home. So I guess I might be leading to another question of like difficulties. Um, but um, so some contracts, yeah, didn't go through. Of course, like I said, one with the other one, that home, the size, the age of the home, finding a mover, those things didn't work out. And then so that for me, I'm like, well, I'm not gonna go through the process of helping you do a rent to own. I'm not gonna go through the process of helping you figure out, kind of doing a lot fee agreement and everything like that. I mean, I could, but I feel like that's something you need to really deal with and handle with an attorney. So those contracts that one like didn't go through. And then the other one where it was a beautiful home, beautiful 5 bedroom mobile home.
Wow.
Um, on an acre plus land near the lake. But the home needed work. The home had money owed on it. And then we found out it had a lien on it. So it was a long process.
Mm,
But the home was probably like 120K debt on the house. Actually, it was
wow.
160K debt on the home. Well, 100K debt, excuse me, plus the renovations. So I was adding in the renovations. So it probably was going to be about 100. We were looking at 30K, but you have to add a little bit. So we were pushing probably like like 30, 40,
Hmm.
40K. So yeah, it was already like 140 in. So it wasn't worth
Wow.
it for the in. And that was a subject too. So I ended up actually getting someone connected with another investor to get another investor who was able to get it as a subject too. But because again, the final unknown lien on the home that we think could have been resolved with a phone call, but the seller was just like, no, I didn't. He literally had a heart attack over this home. It was a very challenging time for him. Um, and unfortunately, he just got to us a little too late. It was just
Right.
a lot of stress, a lot of years of stress. And it just got too much for him. So he had to let the home. We just have to let it go. So again, that contract did not go through. So there are times where contracts go wonderful, and then there are times when they do not. But you just try to fight to the end till you can. And then some you just kind of, you have to just walk away and say, okay, well, that's just I can't fulfill, what is required or what is needed for you at this time, what we've originally discussed. And sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Okay. All right. So, Veronica, when you're doing deals inside of a park, do you pre-screen the end buyer? Because I've had some end buyers, they was like, oh, I've never been incarcerated, blah, blah, blah. And then I screen them and it's like, oh, yeah, I forgot I was in prison for like 20 years. I'm like, okay, how do you forget something like that? So do you pre-screen them or do you take them right to the park to apply?
It Well, one, if they're just a straight buyer, then yes, they will just go directly to the park. I don't pre-screen when it comes to that. Now, if it's something I'm buying or holding, yes, they will go through me and then they will go to the park. They will do both.
Okay. All right. All right. And so, Veronica, are you licensed in South
I
Carolina
am
to?
not licensed in South Carolina. We don't require a license here to do it. South Carolina is 4 mobile homes a year. Before you technically need to be a dealer. So I haven't purchased four yet in 1 year because like I said, I do the wholesale first as priority, and then you work in between if need be, and purchasing and holding if necessary, or buying and then selling or
Mhm.
flipping a home. But yeah, South Carolina's 4 right now, but yeah, as you know, that number changes. Seems like every year it thinks
Right.
it goes up and down. But yeah, here we're 4. So right now, nope, not a dealer.
So
Don't have.
as long as you're not buying and holding, it's cool because there's
Yep.
no wholesaling police out there to regulate how many deals that you're doing unless, somebody turns you in,
Unless
correct?
someone turns you in, that is correct. And I've had some counties even tell me it says South Carolina 4, but some counties are like, oh, they really have a number. Okay. so
Okay. All right.
so
So
yeah,
Veronica, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, and a lot of newbies they be like, "Oh no, I can only do one." I'm like, "Oh, or I can't do any." Well, they're talking about buying wholing. They ain't talking about wholesaling,
not talking about
So
wholesaling.
I don't understand what the hesitation is with that.
Wholesaling, you're doing contracts. You're not selling the home per se. say you're selling the contract of an
Exactly.
agreement between the seller and the buyer.
Exactly. Yes, assigning that contract. So, Veronica, during the pandemic, it was very lucrative for me and my brother, and you had brought up the pandemic. How was the pandemic for you? Because these people were losing their mobile homes left and right. So, how was it for you?
Well, I came in after the pandemic. So as far as the mobile home world, I came in after. So I didn't come in right then. I actually took a courses
Yeah.
during it. So I didn't get involved then. I wish I did, but that's it wasn't my time. So I did, like I said, I think I saw your interview, other investors interviews. I don't know if I even can mention them, but other investors interviews, and I was like, oh man, this is great. I was like, this is what I want to do. And then like I said, we came into the pandemic. Then I was pregnant, so my whole world and mind was like, oh, and then dad was sick. So it was just like push this to the
Yeah.
back burner. But I do know as far as when looking into it at the time, even though I wasn't like, like I didn't jump off the porch yet, but I knew that at the time the pricing for mobile homes were nothing.
Exactly.
Almost nothing at that time. And then of course, after we got into the pandemic, I said 2021, um, man, the price well, wood went up. And then the prices of the mobile homes went up. And then
Mhm.
they were on back order if you were getting like a new one. Then movers became a shortage because they were just behind because of how many people were started moving mobile homes because they were losing, like you said, people were losing their homes due to income jobs, and they needed to downsize. And then a lot, we're in, I'll say probably, when you say generational families in like two, three in the same house. And when pandemic, they were like, oh, okay, we can't all, one get sick, we all sick, or there's no space to
Right.
navigate. Okay, if one's sick, we can quarantine. No, you don't have the space to do that. So some just decided, okay, based on what we're paying here in up north for a 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, we could be down south or wherever with 3, 4 bedrooms or two mobile homes to get like together on an acre somewhere and still, be able to live comfortably, but also quarantine, and still pay the same thing, if not less than what you're paying in your northern states. So it was definitely, I could, yeah, definitely tell transitioning because this even like I said, talking to the movers, how they were just behind, and some of them now they're still behind, even now, 2 years
Exactly.
later.
Exactly. So, Veronica, what do you think about moving? Have you ever moved a mobile home, or do you have any recommendations for somebody like, trying to move their mobile home on their first time out the gate? What are your thoughts
Yes.
about
Sound like Kelly. I know we had that conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
So I personally have not had to move in mobile home. I have once, yeah, when dealing with the wholesale deal, I connected, literally called, we signed the papers. I was like, okay, all right, we're gonna call a mover. Because I knew he wanted to move the home to his own land. He actually was another investor. What's funny is his mom is the one who actually called me. She was like, I saw your sign. My son does. She went in a whole story. And in the back of my head, I was like, okay, might be a good deal. I kind of already had spoken. I was like, I think they're gonna buy this home. Then his daughter came, he looked at the home. He's like, I gotta talk to my dad because my dad does the repairs. And I was like, okay. And his daughter walked through and I said, what you think? She's like 12, 13. And she said, she said, I said, okay. So she went back and just sat in the car. And I was like, I'm gonna sell this house to him secretly in my head. But so yeah, with the mover, I just went straight, called the mover right then on the phone with him. Hey, speakerphone, like, here you go. Hey, we just sold this home. And I've already called the mover prior to. So when I signed the contract already, he was already my mover I had in mind, and I already knew that because of the requirements of the park, that it either had to be someone had to stay here who owned the home, or would have to move it. And so it could be moved because the park didn't want to purchase it. So I had the right to move the home if need be. So I just had a feeling I was going, whoever's getting it was going to probably move it. And so I already had him. So he already was, in the back of his mind, knew that this possibly would be a home. He already actually came and looked at it. I already was up ahead of the ball game with the mover, and because he was local. And so he was like, yeah, easy in, easy out, it'll probably like 2 weeks. Just let me know. And he was like, okay. So it took, I think, about 3 weeks, I think, for him to get it moved right before the first, because he would, if he didn't get it moved before the first, then the new owner, he would have to have paid the lot rent. So we got him out of there. But I have personally have not had to, but again, it's always good to keep movers in your pocket. It's always good to just check on your movers, just to call them locally, just check in. Hey, even if it's just, hey, I'm just checking to see what your rates are now. Like, or just
Right,
checking to see how far are you out. Like it just a simple call, like just so they know your name, they know you in the business. They're like, oh hey, oh yeah, that's Veronica again. Okay, yeah, So when you call, they're not just like, oh yeah, 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 whatever. So because like I had one, he got in a car accident, and I was like, oh god, like it was his second time getting in an accident. Someone hit his truck. So I just keep calling him. He'll answer the phone. He was in the hospital. I was like, why are you answering the phone? He was like, he was like, I just gotta keep. I'm like, okay, but don't answer the phone. I was like, until you get home, please, please don't answer the phone until you get home. But yeah,
but
and
when
a
you
lot
get
of
better, move
movers,
my home. But when
yeah, I
you
need
get
you to move
better,
my
move my
home. Yeah, I
home.
need you to get better, move my home. So,
Exactly.
but most of the movers that I've encountered, they're honestly, and I don't know about everywhere else. Here we have a lot of baby boomer movers. And so I've been trying every trucker, everybody I see, I'm like, get into mobile homes, like be a mobile home mover because they're gonna retire.
Exactly.
They're gonna leave.
That's
They
a good
can't stay
idea. Yeah.
and they can't stay forever. So they know what they're doing. Like that's this the three that I connect with most, they are already trying to transition to family. So the son, one of the ones in my town, the son actually is a mover. The son now hired a team to set up the homes. Like another team, they already had their team, but he hired like another team. And I remember I was talking to one guy just randomly passed, and I was like, "Oh, you work for such and such?" And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just quit the fire department." He's like, "I quit the fire department to come set up mobile homes." And he was like, "I kind of, I loved it." He's like, "The time I do it, kind of on your time, on your pace." And he was like, "As far as the money, yeah." He's like, and I'm not risking my life. He's like, I love being a firefighter and I love helping people, but I'm helping people in a different way. So but it was like it's a family thing. So a lot of people are trying to get their family and next generation because the movers know they're like, I can't do this forever. I
Right.
need to teach what I know. And but I have been told it's hard to get the licensing and the regulations. So it you need to almost take under a mentor to do so. But I've been trying, and I'm gonna tell you, hey, tell your anybody driving the truck, movers, anyone, hey, we need more movers, just like I said, because they're mostly 60 plus, the
Yeah,
movers that
and
I've
they're
encountered.
really, you're right. They're really on backlog. So, Veronica, as of today, what has been your biggest? We shouldn't say return on investment because you just been wholesaling.
Right.
What amount of money? What amount of money have you received for connecting a buyer with a seller from a wholesale deal?
The most so far 7K.
7K. Okay. All
Mm,
right.
take home
And, and
7K.
and you
And
had
that's in a
verbalized
part.
it. Oh, what? That's good. That's good. And so, how long did it take you to get that money?
The whole process from beginning to end.
The whole process. Uh-huh.
Ugh, that one was a little okay, about 30 days, but
Okay. Right.
30
Right.
days. Yeah.
I mean,
Um, only because only because
mhm.
it was a little shaky in the beginning. The so originally the brother, so the mom backstory. So the mom, the owner of the home was in a home, well, temporarily in a home. She had dementia and well recently diagnosed with dementia. And so she had some things going on and needed to move her to a facility. So they've been back and forth. So the brother actually who called and so I had to make sure and assure, he was invested, gung ho, ready to go. But then I kind of had to saw the home and everything, heard about but I had to bring him back to situation that he was not, he didn't have power attorney. He wasn't like who was, I mean, so long story, between him and the boyfriend who were basically present doing everything. The son was an hour and a half away, who was actually the one who has power of attorney, him and his wife. So I had to get connected, but the son was kind of in in a space of not of like unaccepting because his mom was sick. So it was very hard process. So I was kind of, giving a little time, giving a little grace. Had to talk to the wife a lot to get to the husband to get him around, to the understanding of okay, this is what we're doing, kind of entrusting me, and everything. And then had a lot of items in the home. There's a lot of stuff in the house. And so they were concerned about cleaning and doing all this stuff. Took the liberty of saying, don't worry about it, we'll handle that. Can you just get the major things that you need from the home, and then everything else we'll take care of, which we did. I hired my cousin and my cousin daughter to
Uh,
clean this house out. So it took us 2 days to clean this house. And they cleaned up some other things and everything. And yeah, so like I said, from beginning to end, it was a little process. I had to drive an hour to meet the son because he was like, I have to come down there. And I was like, no. I was like, I was literally like, nope, don't worry about it. I'll meet you where you want to meet. So I
mhm,
met him where it was probably like a 30-minute versus an hour and a half for him. So I met him. It was like an hour for me, but hey, I was like, it's fine. I would have to drive an hour to the house. So either way, I was like, I have to drive an hour. So I just met him. Did we have to do sign the contract? I actually did it virtually, through DocuSign. So I had him actually sign through DocuSign with his ID, checking, verifying everything. Like I said, the process again was just a little slow in the beginning because brother just couldn't understand why he couldn't handle everything. And then the boyfriend was all emotional about letting go. And so it was some of those things you have to, like I tell people, like the hairdresser and the barber, you are the counselor, the consultant, the
right.
the cleaner. You do a lot. Some don't always do that, but I say each thing is different. Like you don't just walk, it's not pretty. You don't just walk in and they just say, oh yeah, definitely sell my house. It's not always pretty. Once I got, like the trust of the husband and the wife, oh yeah, it was here you go. What else you need? And the wife was just on board. She was like, okay, so you got your fee, you got your money, like you got your stuff together. And like once we got the money, she was like, you got you a nice substantial amount, right? And I was like, yeah. And because she knew what the process was. Like she was clear, she knew, and she had no problem. She was just like, I'm glad this is over. Like at the end of the day, they were on a time crunch. They were on an emotional crunch, of roller coaster up and down and emotions. And then like I said, dealing with two parties not present, not
Right.
in the let me say they're present, but they don't have authority. So having to deal with that, and then those who had authority. So you being in the middle, trying to navigate everything. So it's like I said, it wasn't always an easy battle, but in
Mm.
the end, it was so. Once it got done, it was like okay, like I said, 30 days. But some people I know they can get them done in like a week or two. But because of the transition and everything that had to take place, um, it was a 30-day, around about 30-day process. I would say probably getting it moved and everything. It was a 30 days.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Mhm.
So, Veronica, is there any point where, like, to really lock your buyer in, you get some type of earnest money from the buyer, or you don't do that?
I haven't done that. I am going to transition into doing that though.
So, explain why you would do that.
Only because let's say now I'm not receiving a lot of sellers. I'm getting a lot of buyers who are coming aboard. So now I'm taking time to find homes, look for homes for them. They have specific criteria that they like. Now, of course, I could always just be looking for homes and then just pitch it out to all of them. Of course, yes. And then whichever one, jumps first, here we go. But also too, it's just like, okay, am I actually, being like that concierge? Like, okay, I'm picking this, finding this home particular for this one. Like I'm not being here for this one. And so, yes, if you would like to work and for us to move forward, then I do think that the fee should be present because I am working for you to find a home, just like a realtor would be working to find a home. To have some type of earnest agreement money in hand beforehand to go forward. And then of course, if we can't, at a certain time, it can be like half back. Haven't really figured out that process, what it's going to be, whether it's going to be, if it's something on me, do you get all of it? Do you get half of it? What that case may be. But just still trying to figure out to navigate that. But I do have the documentation, just trying to figure out the numbers is what I'm where I'm at. And just connecting with other few people who have done that. Just because it's your time.
Exactly.
Time is definitely of essence either way in this when you come into this business. Time is money, as they say, but again, you don't want to waste your time, but also you understand we thankfully I've connected and have not had any cold-hearted people have so met in the business because we understand like if you do that, let's say if you took your earnest money like from a buyer or I mean from a buyer and they don't pass the park of requirements. Okay, here's your money. Because again, they could tell you, yeah, all day long, yeah, they didn't do this, didn't have that. But of course, if you don't go through the parks, you don't pass what the park is requiring, then of course, I'm not going to take your money because that was something. Now, park is not required to tell me what, hey, you had a whole criminal record from 1962 and it's still current. So, but of course, if they can't pass the park, I mean, obviously you can't stay here. So you need your money back to go find some other place to go.
Well, I'm just telling you the truth, Veronica. If it's something your credit score was a little lower than what you thought or something like that, I'll
Yeah,
give you
the
your money
credit.
back. But
Right.
if you've been in prison for 20 years and you know they didn't take,
You didn't, yeah.
no, I ain't keeping your money. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I'm
Yeah.
definitely keeping your money.
Yeah,
So,
but I think
Veronica,
I
when you
think if
talking
that's the
to
park and closes, I mean the park discloses it, or like you said, but it's a good idea, like you said in the beginning, if they do my pre-screening and then do the parks, so that would be a good idea to add. So I will note that.
yeah. So, Veronica, when you are talking to the seller, let's just say they want $20,000 for their mobile home, what kind of things will you point out that would lower the price of the home? What are the big things you'd be like, oh no, you can't get 20,000 for this?
So age, of course, will be one. Depending on the age of the home, most counties and places, if it's 20 years, they're not, especially if it has to be moved or can be moved and someone would like to do so. Most places aren't taking 20 years, anything over 20 years. So if it's over that, there's strike one. We need to lower this price because of the age. Of course, if you have anything, I kind of love my another investors kind of checklist. But if it's over, if we need 5,000 more in repairs, all right, another check. Okay, we need to come down again. And then of course, if it needs to be moved, third one. All right, we need definitely to move this down because it's going to cost in my area, in my market, at least between 34, if it's double wide, like for 88,000 or better to move it. So we need to make sure we're accommodating that price in there as well, especially trying to buy a buyer unless you just have a buyer who just doesn't care. But most of the time they want to I have to move it. They want to, take off from that. So that's usually where we are, but definitely major cosmetic, small things, no. But if you're needing roof repair, flooring, replacing a toilet, bathtubs, those things are getting expensive. Especially if they're the standard mobile home size tubs and things of that nature where you cannot go to Home Depot, you cannot go to Lowe's to go find because they're not 60 inches, they're smaller. So some of the homes when they're mobile home, depending on the size of those features, you have to go to a mobile home supplier to get those, and they're a little bit more expensive to do. Or you have to do it online, and then you have to get it shipped and etc. So
Okay.
that's the
What
criteria.
about the amenities of the park? Would that affect the price?
Amenities of the park, stars of the park. Yeah, all that does play a factor um as well. And then like if it's especially then like lot fees, how they are and what the park is including or not including. Yeah, definitely. If they have to add anything, cut their own. I mean, I know grass is pretty much, I think now just everyone's cutting their own grass, but like amenities, I definitely agree. Amenities definitely would play a factor too.
Okay. Okay. So, Veronica, do you have like any horror stories since you've been in this business that you want to share with us?
Woo, contractors.
Okay.
I would definitely say the contractors having a clear checklist of what you want, don't want, and a clear agreement if it's not done in this time frame or to what you don't want and do want, they got to go. There's no keep on going. There's no, oh, let's try. Nope, just cut it off. I did that with the, oh, let's keep going, let's try, and it got burnt with having to find someone else to complete both houses. So I would definitely say, and then the first one came from, oh my God, was very reputable. He's this, he's that. But both were kind of what I want to say. They're like the car deal, like you'll go to get your car fixed, of saying you'll go get your car oil changed, but you'll have a whole nail in your tire, and they see the nail in your tire, and know your tire gonna go flat, or your tire is flat, but won't tell you. They only listening to what you came in there for, and that's it. It's like, okay, no. If you see that there's a problem or an issue, you need to tell me. And then they wait till the end and say, oh, well, yeah, I saw that, but that was gonna cost you this, or this is gonna cost you that, or we don't have time to do this. It's gonna add more time. It's like, well, will you wait to the end to say that? Why you didn't say that while we
Right.
in the midst of this? So now it's something we got to correct to get that taken care of. So I would definitely be more diligent in saying, okay, like sitting down, not just walking around, not walking through. Nope, let's sit at the table. Let's have a true conversation.
Hmm.
Because it's being women in this, sometimes it's kind of, and it's a lot of male contractors, and I hate to put it out there like that, but where it's almost I don't know if I'm think we're telling them what to do, but it's not. I'm just being clear in what I want and what I don't want, and this is a contract binding in that agreement. And we just want to make sure we're both covered. I'm covering you, you're going to get paid, and I'm covering, you know, my asset as well. So I would,
Hmm.
that's my only horror story. I would say dealing with contractors. It's just there's
Well, we've been
very
blessed.
few.
we had Yeah, we had one contractor. He was like running a daycare center while he was in our home with his grandchildren. So he's watching
Wow.
his grandchildren, had a little playpen and everything. But other than that, we have really been blessed. We, of course, we fired him, but yeah, we have really been blessed in that
Yeah.
aspect. So,
Yeah.
so Veronica, have you done any joint ventures with anybody or for you?
Not yet. Well, I did have that one, like I said, a joint with another investor to get the subject to home. But that one didn't go through only because of the additional loan lien that was on the home. But I think that would have been a wonderful home if that other other one wasn't on there. But I will say that I would love to joint venture. But I have been kind of like not physically signed, joint venture, but I had boots on the ground for others when needed. As far as like, taking pictures, doing some little things in their house if needed, or showing their house for someone, things like that I have, and I don't mind taking that on,
Mm-hmm.
but multiple times. It's like, all right now, what we doing? But as far as like a physical, okay, here we're signing these papers. I'm 64 that we 50-50. No, have not worked into that area yet. Something to think about also too, and I think it's just going to be more so of a if the deal makes sense and makes numbers, and if we're both being assets in the deal. Hey, you might be good at this. I might be good at that. I might be weak in this. You might be weak in that. Like, how can we complement each other and offset and balance each other out? So yeah, I'm definitely open to doing that. Like I said, I've always partnered and piggyback and ideas and stuff of that nature with others, but not actually had a JV. Actually, I'm lying. I forgot. I did have one. I did
Okay.
have one. It was another park. So we purchased a park and they were selling the home. It wasn't a what we thought it was gonna be. I just thought about that deal. I completely forgot about it. So it was where um I actually upfronted the money to purchase the home. They were then selling the home in the park. The park was selling a lot of homes. And then they were doing the basically being my boots. They were running around trying to sell the house, putting everything in there, doing everything. So I basically was the money and they were up fronting to sell it and everything. There were some things that came about where wasn't upfront with the other investors because it came from another investor, and I think they got into something that they wasn't too sure about as well, and they thought it was a area that could be a lucrative area, but it was not just because of the age. I think again the ages of the home, um, the park, and the repairs. So the stigma, it was an older park that had a bad stigma of history, I would say, and they were trying to reestablish that back to a nicer park. But again, a lot of people were the buyers were like they had the history, they knew the park, so so it kind of would need to have to go to someone that you know taking that risk of saying, okay, I know this is better, or listening to what the investor's saying is like all the old is gone, this is new. Yes, it needs to be rebuilt. Yes, these need repairs. They need to reestablish the atmosphere out here. Um, so I think those we finally did get a buyer who basically was, in that mindset that was able to do so. And they actually purchased another home for another family member as well. So it was that person they were going to reestablish, like I said, help and assist reestablishing that part. But that was just a JV. That was a JV deal that we did do, but it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't too much profitable. It was kind of break even on that just because of the um just the stigma of the park that people thought. So I think if we would have been able to rebuild and reestablish the park or came in maybe when it was a halfway done, might would have been a better situation. But to each his own, we learned. Um and yeah, it was or like I said, purchase maybe majority of them might have been a better option. And then at least having that beautifying the park overall, kind of getting
Right.
in the mind of, okay, this is better, this is bigger, this is not what it was before.
Okay. Monica, where do you see yourself 5 years from now in the mobile home business?
Oh, great question. So I see myself with at least 10 homes buying and holding. Would like to transition into whether that's Section 8, whatever the case may be. But holding property for just longevity for myself to have more. I see myself part-time. Like I said, I love my full-time. But I do see myself full-time or not working in it at all. Just because I want that freedom for myself, and then the freedom to be able to go wherever needed with my mother, family, friends, whomever. And also having both of them actually having options, for them long term to having a property or asset for themselves to actually have, this money's coming from to me for whatever. For her, my little, just, hey, this is your college fund. This is your money you're going to use to build you a duplex if you decide to go to college, and you're going to stay in one and you're going to rent the other one out. Whatever, whatever that is. Because I truly believe, I'm like, wherever you're going to school, this is what we're going to do. We're going to build you something wherever or buy wherever you're going to school. And for the next 4 years, you're going to be a landlord unknowingly to your tenants that are your roommates, your, suite mates.
Yeah.
So things like that is definitely what I want to do. But as far as, like I said, using that funds from those buying and holds to fund those things, is definitely what I want to see and do. And then also, like I said, be on my own. No, nine W-9, no forms, no clock in, no clock out. Just, having that freedom to travel and having experiences with, family and friends. And again, at the end of the day, helping other people, because um people need homes. That's just nothing that's not going to end. We all have to have a roof over our head, unless you just want to be the gypsy in the woods, however you want to do it. But we all need something. We all need a safe, affordable home to stay in and provide just safety. And we want to make sure we do that. And that's all too while getting into this. Is like we need homes, we need places to stay, and we need very comfortable, affordable places. So
All right. So, final question, Veronica. Uh, in the mobile home business, What advice do you give to, newbies? Because, I have seen so many people take course after course. We have taken several courses, but we only took several courses because I know I was going to be teaching. I wanted to teach. So, what is your advice to newbies who are afraid to, take the plunge?
Wow. I mean, I'm still fresh newbie to me, but I did finally do it. I would say don't procrastinate. Don't think it has to be perfect. And I'm preaching to myself because I do that still, but I still decide to do it at the end of the day. Because you don't want to live with the what ifs. What if I didn't try? What if I didn't do it? Or what if I didn't just. So I always say just to at least try it. And if it doesn't work, okay, great, try it again. That doesn't work. All right, try it again. Try it again in a different way. Because for me, I would say, listen, I had a wholesale deal and I was working on a fix and flip at the same time. If I was just on that fix and flip, I probably would have quit. So because the
Uh,
wholesale was so smooth, even though again that one was still 30 days, but it was smooth process at the end. I mean, here we go. I got a 7K check for helping a family do what they need to do. I had no money in other than my time in cleaning the house and a lot of in driving, but it wasn't less than $500 maybe. Like I said, between the drive, like I said, cleaning up, doing things of that nature. I said five, probably less than that, but that I've invested in doing so. And I mean, I'm talking signs, putting it up, etc. And I was able to help someone. So, as well as myself to purchase it. Basically, I used that money to purchase another, put into the other home that I was
right.
trying to finish up. So it was basically helping fund that other house to get done. So with that, I would say that don't let one situation determine, hey, that's my determining factor of or whether I'm going to do this or not. Because again, each thing is different. Always have kind of, and I know some people have a, oh, I'm strict to this, which is great to kind of keep that path, have your criterias of your no goals, your non negotiables, um, and then also to remember it's not just about the money, it is about the people. That we are here to help people. And if you don't think, I mean, not let them run over you. But if you don't think that you're able to help and be kind, be guiding, for others, this may not be where you need to be, because we don't want slumlords. We don't want terrible investors who go on in parks, hey, making a bad rep and for everyone else, being a bad apple. So definitely just make sure that you are, being firm in who you are, being honest in who you are, and that every deal is different. Every deal is not going to be the same. So don't always say, oh man, that's not the same. That's not what I thought it was going to be. Now I just need to back away. Nope. You just find someone who's doing what you're doing or done what you did and connect with them. Hey, I need help with this. Having difficulty with that. Get on the phone. Hey, let me talk to my. I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that. Let me get on the phone with my partner. Get on the phone with
Exactly.
somebody you know. Pick up the phone, message
Exactly.
them, whatever. Hey, or I'll get back to you on that. I don't know the answer to that right now. I'll get back to you on that. Something. Just don't give up. And like I said, try it. I mean, it's not for everyone, and it's not gonna be a fast season. You'll see people like my mentors and everybody. They're killing it. Kelly's killing it. Other people killing it. They're 20, 30, 40, 100 deals. And I'm like, "Ooh, okay, great."
Mm,
So but don't compare yourself to others either.
can't do it. I
Can't do
agree.
it. Because your time and their time is different. And I
Mm,
say that too because I'm a 9 to 5er. I'm an 8 to 5er. Like they're killing it now because they're entrepreneurs. They're full time. They
mm-hmm.
have no choice. Now they don't have a choice, but that's what they're doing. They've gotten to that point. It took years and time to get to that point and a lot of dedication. You don't know what they did behind closed doors to get there. They
True that.
probably sacrificed a lot to get there. So you do have to just be knowing someone else's story is not your story. So you have to make your own story, write your own book. Um, you'll get there. You'll make it work. Whether it's one deal, it's just two deals. Just have a goal and know what you can do, can't do, and what you want to do in between there. So just that's
All right.
that's my advice and have fun. you know, try to find the lights and everything as much as you can.
Right.
That's just me. That's just my thing. It's just like try to find, the good in it. I know it's like it sounds so negative. It's like, oh my God. Um, and then again, you just also to just know, all right, I tried my best, but I have to walk away. Also be
Right.
honest with
Right.
yourself in that too. So definitely that's my advice for anyone who's coming aboard. And I'm open to asking questions. I've had people ask me like, "Hey, you want to teach a course?" I was like, "Oh, girl, no." I was like, "I can point you in the right direction to someone who can tell you." But me, not
Yeah.
right now. Not right now.
So Veronica, that was some great advice. And so, like you mentioned earlier, you okay with doing joint ventures? Do you have like an 800 number or website that somebody could reach out to you and maybe if they got a
Yes.
deal?
Yes. So my phone number is actually 803-250-1109. That's 803-250-1109. My website is actually Marie Taylor Experience, exactly as it sounds, marietaylorexperience.com. You can also Google that, Marie Taylor Experience, as well, LLC. So it's Marie Taylor Experience LLC. If you Google, you can actually just message me either there or Google, call my number. Facebook, as far as that, I'm just Veronica Chestnut on Facebook. I don't have a business page on Facebook as of yet, but I will. Most likely it will be called my retail experience. So that would be, and then Instagram. I don't have a business page there yet, but that will be most likely again my retail experience. But currently it's simply Vera Marie on Instagram. But if you can just message me on Facebook through the website. You can contact me through the website as well, or again, through Google searching, you can just find the number and I'll be glad to speak with you. And then my email is info@Marie Taylor Experience.
All right. All right, there we have it, guys. Miss Veronica Chestnut, mobile home investor. And you know what, Veronica? What I didn't like that you said during this interview, I only have 4 deals under my belt. No, I did not like that because I can see you motivated. I can see you motivated. Maybe in another year, you're gonna tell me about those 10 deals that you're trying to get. But I
Yes.
greatly appreciate you being on here. I really do. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.